So if you just want to take your time and look at those things, there's also other pictures here and posters that you can do as we mingle later on in the day.
Right on the bottom.
Okay.
This is how big it is. It's just like a piece of pepper.
So, what we're going to do is go through the 3 main monitoring things that you can do to monitor in your hives. Now we're going to go through them, but also I encourage you to go to your provincial apiarist, Karen Kennedy, because she has put out a paper and it covers everything that we're covering today. So if you forget the finer points or just refresh your memory, go to this and print it off and it'll refresh you, okay? So we're going through this. Okay. So, we're going to go through sugar shake, alcohol wash, and sticky boards. Our 3 main things we're going to do today. We're going to start with the sugar shake, okay? It is a very, well, you don't have to kill bees to do this monitoring test. We do have to take a sample of 300 bees out of the colony, which we are going to actually physically do. Do you want to describe it or just go ahead and do it?
Let's describe it first.
Okay. In order to monitor the bees, you have to go into the hive and find 2 frames of the open brood. That's where the mites hang out. They're taking advantage of the open brood, and as soon as it almost capped over, they will slip in underneath and reproduce underneath there in the developing larva. So that most of the mites in your hives are on these open brood frames. So we're going to go into the hive and try to find those 2 frames, show you how to take the bees, take 300 bees and do the sugar shake. Of course, it's very important when we're doing this monitoring that we get 300 bees, but that we do not get the queen. We do not want to sample the queen. She's probably okay. So we're very particular and make sure we find the queen, or especially make sure she's not on the 2 frames that we're going to shake the bees. So Fletcher's going to get the smoker revved up, and we're going to, whatever is your comfort level, you put your gear on or whatever, but we'll come close to a hive and we'll actually walk through a sugar shake monitoring method, okay? What you need for this is you need a bottle. Any mason jar will do. And we have made, mason jars comes with a solid cover, but we've taken that cover out and we put a screen mesh in it. You can just cut it out, anything that the bees won't go through, and you can just put it back on. That's all the equipment you need. Besides that, you have
but you keep track of your mite there.
a tablespoon for to measure your icing sugar, and just normal plain icing sugar from the grocery store. Okay? The easiest way to collect our bees is we have a bucket, which we will shake the bees into, and then we have a half cup measuring cup, and we scoop, half a cup is 300 bees. So we will scoop the bees out of the bucket. We're going to knock the bees into the bucket, and the flying bees will leave, and what will remain in the bucket is the nurse bees, and most of the mites hang on the nurse bees. So then we'll be able to scoop up our sample. Okay?
Okay, so we're going to do this now.
This far apart. How's your comfort level for getting a little closer?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, Peter. Just so Mary doesn't have to
You
yell.
got face masks somewhere outdoors.
Throat's not going to last. Okay, we can gather around the hive here. I'll put mine on. Okay. All right. How about well, how about where's Chris? Are you Chris? Are you comfortable if we bring the 2 frames down here?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
So Fletcher will go get the 2 frames, and we can do it here more.
The green one?
Yeah, the green would be better actually, because
The double green?
yeah, that's a pretty common one.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna go get the hive.
Yellow bees.
I'll do that.
We'll go right down the bottom.
Yeah, you may as well take the soup.
Yeah, it's not even stuck down. Smoke. Right there in the middle. I never asked him about the queen.
I'll take it down there. Sleepy.
We're gonna go with this and I'll get another.
Okay.
There's no brood in these sides, I don't think.
I'll just take the 2 center frames. So you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Chris,
There's some mohawks here.
are you comfortable with us just making sure she's not on those 2 frames rather than locating her? Okay.
It's just for
Well-
demo anyway.
So we want to be sensitive to your needs here. Okay, I'll take that. Okay. I want you to make sure she's not on there.
Oh my goodness.
And then we'll take it down to the bucket.
That way it's your fault if there's... Oh, there we go. Good brood.
Oh yeah, good brood. Okay, we'll just walk it down to the...
You got eggs on your frame there, Chris. So all I could see is eggs. I think I
Okay.
did.
All right. All right, we'll walk it down to our bucket here. Can we use the
Can we grab
same
this-
sample for both bees?
I'm gonna close this up
Okay.
temporarily. Got it?
Yeah, I got it. No, let's go. He's just going to close that up. Okay, we have gone in the hive and we found 2 frames in the very center of the bottom that have open brood. So that's where our nurse bees will be, and that's where we take the sample from. Now we haven't actually located the queen in the hive, but we're working with Chris here, and he says as long as we know she's not on these frames. Okay, so I'm making sure he gives the okay that they're not on these frames. So,
We're gonna get him a new queen if we're wrong about this too.
okay.
Just gotta go back and pour that in there.
What are you gonna do?
Well, as soon as I take the scuba bees,
Yes, I can.
it's just running back,
I'll run the frames back. Okay.
and then I should leave it open then.
I'll take the smoker with me.
Okay, you'll do it.
Everybody got the gear on? Okay. I don't have any gear. So, there's no queen on this frame? Chris says there's no queen on this frame. He's going to look at the other frame too.
Well, yeah, well,
Where is,
I don't know.
where is the bucket?
No.
Excuse me. Okay,
Gonna use the bucket
you hold that and I'll explain for a minute.
Okay.
Where's my bottle? Okay.
right there.
Okay, maybe we'll hand them to Chris. As soon as he's done shaking, can we hand them to you and you can just hold them, or you can shove them back in, whichever you want, so we can keep going here. Okay, now to collect the bees, some beekeepers will shake it over this tub, but we find that the frame is longer than the tub and some of the bees will fall in the grass and we don't want to lose any bees. So we put it down in the bucket and he gives it 1 thump
Okay.
and shake the bees off. And we'll do that with 2 frames. Okay, Christian, I just want to trade with him.
Okay. So this just gives us a really good cross section. You can do it with more than 2 frames, like 3 frames in the center, but this gives you a better average. It's nice brood, open brood there in the center.
So
Looks healthy.
So the flying bees are just going to leave and fly back to the hive, and what stays in the bucket is the nurse bees, the bees that have not flown before. So then we can take a cross sample. He's going to scoop out a half a cup of bees, which is about 300 bees, which is your sample size we normally take.
So you see how they're crawling up around the sides of the pail? Sometimes they're almost all the way to the top edge by now. So all you got to do is just a little thump and they go right to the bottom again. Kind of get them down on the bottom corner, and then just very carefully.
Do it for the camera.
Just take a nice even cupful, half cupful. Okay, right over the pail. Okay.
Nice bees.
Eating the nice bees. Okay.
Pretty brave, aren't I?
Another good piece. Okay,
Okay,
so I'll run these back.
this is our sample we've got here. He's just going to run those back to the hive.
Just a second, Chris. Just.
We have about 300 bees in this bottle. Now, the process to
Moment.
get rid of some of the bees here.
And they should.
To collect the samples for the next alcohol wash that we're going to do is the same process. Get it from the same frames. We just do something different once we get this far. Got one crawling up my sleeve here. Okay. So we have our sample. Now, first way, ising sugar, half a teaspoon of ising sugar. Now, the way this works, it does not kill the bees. We will put the ising sugar in on top of them and shake it around just gently. We don't want to thrash the bees. And as the ising sugar goes on there, it agitates them. And they'll start their grooming thing, and they'll just try to get the ising sugar off. And as they do that, they groom themselves, and the mites are supposed to fall off into the ising sugar. They'll get dislodged from their underbodies. And then we can separate the bees from the ising sugar and see if there's any mites in the ising sugar, and the bees can be released back into the hive.
And I like to use just another rim. It just helps keep the sugar directly into the wire so it doesn't come out over the edge.
Or just simply just kind of get it in there.
Just kind of bump it like that, and it'll just go down to the screen. Now, it's called a sugar shake, meaning that you're supposed to shake the bottle, the bees. Actually, by shaking it, you're probably going to do more damage than it's worth. So the whole idea of this is not to damage the bees. So the way some people do this, now they just take it and they just stump the bees, just beat them against the wall of the bottle, and it just really beats them up. Probably gives them all concussions and fractures and the whole works. It would harm them. It's a time thing. You got to be patient, because I see people do this on the YouTube where they just want to get it done as soon as possible. So they shake the bottle and they think they're helping the bees actually dislodge the mites, but I don't think they are. That powdered sugar, in this case icing powder sugar, has got to work its way into the actual segments, the abdominal segments of the bees where the Varroa mite is lodged. And they're in there quite tight, they're wedged in there. So it's going to take time for that sugar to work its way in. And by beating them against the glass, I don't think it's going to really help it a lot.
Some people, when they do this, they'll just leave that jar sitting in the sun for 3 minutes, and that'll get them stirring more. But
yeah, they say 3 to 5 minutes. We did a little experiment with this, and it was about 5 minutes. We got so many mites, and then we left it. But you know, we shook the sugar out, and pretty well most of it was out, and then we got a count, and then we left it alone for a little bit longer, probably that much longer again, another 5 minutes to 10 minutes. I don't know how long it was exactly. And then shook what little bit of sugar was left in it, and we got some more. So that's how long it takes, I think, for those mites to be worked out of those abdominal segments. Because that sugar has to go in and actually plug up the little hooks and the little suction cups that are on the mite's feet that are hanging onto the bees. So it takes time.
Is that jar getting warmer, you think? Like is it jar, do the bees generate any heat themselves when they're covered with this sugar? Or?
Well, a little bit. Actually, yeah, it feels kind of nice on the fingers. So maybe it does. But the bees themselves are just going to have some warmth in them as well. But all this activity, yeah, will.
okay. So let's pretend 3 to 5 minutes has passed by. So the next step is you take a tub, just any normal tub, and we're going to turn it upside down and shake the icing sugar out. So it will come apart from the bees and will come into here.
Okay. So it doesn't want to come, see it doesn't pour right out, you got to work at it. You just kind of got to shake it like you would a salt shaker. Tip the bees back off the screen a little bit so some more of the sugar will come out.
Camera can't see. There we go.
And it doesn't, it's not a lot of sugar that will
No.
come back, that will come out, because a lot of it has just stuck to the bees and to the glass.
Okay.
The more moist your air is, the less effective this will be, because the less powdery it will be, the less it'll be able to get into all the little crevices that it needs to get into.
So it's best done on a sunny day.
So next to useless here.
What?
Sunny and dry.
Useless here.
Well,
Yeah. So presumably if there was mites in there, the mites would come out with the icing sugar and they would fall into the bottom of this.
so you can see there's not very much sugar in there. It's just some has stayed in, but pretty well all that's going to come out is pretty well come out. It's just very, right? It's just very little.
So once you've done that,
It's just-
in order to see the mites easier, you want to dissolve the icing sugar. So are you done?
yeah.
So we'll pour water in here, and presumably, if there's mites, the little red dots, and they are visible by the eye, they will float in this water and you'll be able to see them. You have to learn to distinguish it between mites and a piece of dirt, okay? That just comes with experience. What kind of screen?
That's a 1/8, like 8 mesh per inch. That's the common mesh that you use for screening in your inside covers or to block the bees when you're traveling with bees. It gives them lots of air, but they can't get their heads through it. If it's 6 or 7 squares per inch, they can't get through it, but they can get their heads through it, and that's not good. So the 8 is the best.
Take this, okay. So you could probably want to pass it around. There's little bits of
Is it
dirt
here?
floating around
Yeah.
there, so you can
Yeah.
see the little bit of dirt, but that's not a mite. That'd be terrible if we found a mite today.
Okay. Yeah, it's quite
Whoa,
common.
we'd have to
where I am.
change gears
Yeah.
quick, wouldn't we?
Not just
But
in
you
the
can just
bee
see the
supply
dirt
either,
floating
like
on
hardware
there.
stores
The
do have
icing
it.
sugar is dissolved, and there should be, bigger red dots if there was anything in there. Huh?
It's irregular.
Yes, that's true. The mite is
Just
more
pass that
oval.
around too, just so
That's
you
right.
can see what it's
Yeah.
like, to see how the bees are
So
agitated.
you can see some dirt
and how
floating in
many-
it, but you don't see
how
any
coated they are,
distinguishing
and see
red
what it looks like.
oval things. Once you've seen one, it's hard to mistake it.
You can roll them around a little bit too.
Unfortunately.
It doesn't hurt them. But
Huh?
Oh my God, it's full of mites.
Oh, jeez. Not today, please.
Yeah. But quick question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
Have you ever done a sugar shake and then take those same bees after a sugar shake and do an alcohol shake to see what gets left behind?
yes,
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll address that in a minute. Yeah.
Okay, good.